Are you sick and tired of seeing extremely high car prices? Well, you can now officially blame the government for that, and that's partially what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you're going to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And some of the information provided in today's video comes from Cox Automotive. Let's get into it. So the numbers are in for August when it comes to fleet sales, and we just saw another huge month with fleet sales. Year over year, there's an increase of 33.9%, which is absolutely massive. And if we look at the individual categories within the fleet world, it's pretty crazy. So rental fleets saw 101.6% increase, government fleets saw 39% increase, and then commercial fleets only increased by 1.2%. And so that's why I said you can technically blame the government for these higher car prices, because Uncle Sam keeps buying cars for their fleets, which obviously, contributes to the overall increase in car prices, right? Supply and demand. Now, if you're wondering, on the retail side of things, year over year, things have only increased by 13.9%. So again, with fleet sales, 33.9%, retail, 13.9%. That is a huge difference. And so this really does show that fleet sales are definitely, carrying the car market. Now, the majority of the car market still is technically retail, but what I have talked about over the course of several videos is that there's something called Fleetail, where these fleet companies will basically go in and buy cars through the retail channels, but they're actually going into fleets. They still count for retail numbers, but they go into fleets, and so it does kind of skew the numbers a little bit. And I can tell you, I am seeing a ton of that in the real world. And so a big part of the reason why cars are selling right now is because of these fleet sales, and it looks like this is not slowing down anytime soon. If you look at fleet sales, again, we just have strong year-over-year increases, and we have a lot of month-over-month increases, and this is happening at the same time that the retail market, again, it's increasing, but it's increasing at a much softer, much slower rate overall. And so I want to talk about, what this means for the car market moving forward. And I actually have a little bit of a theory with something that we have been seeing in the market as well. So in terms of what this means for the market moving forward, this is just more incentive for automakers to continue to basically keep their prices at where they're at, because they have these companies and the government that are willing to pay the prices, right? They're willing to pay these prices because their fleets need so many cars that they need to put cars into it. So that's the first thing, is this is going to provide price stability for automakers. Now, the next thing that this is going to do for the car market is it's going to disincentivize automakers to build out vehicles for retail customers, right? They're going to have more and more of a focus on what these fleet customers want, because that's where the guaranteed sales are. And so you might see more, quote unquote, fleet type vehicles at dealerships. And this is where I want to dive into my theory. So I've noticed that in the truck world, a lot of trucks have been decontented recently. So what this means is that the trucks continue to get fewer and fewer amounts of standard equipment as time goes on. Now, this is happening at the same time that fleet sales are increasing. And this actually makes perfect sense, because if you look at what a fleet customer wants versus a retail customer, it's completely different, right? Fleet customers are using these vehicles for work, and so they don't necessarily care about having a bunch of options. Whereas retail customers, right, they typically are using it as like a daily driver vehicle, family vehicle, perhaps, like they're using these trucks for a lot more purposes, and so they are going to care a lot more about what options are in the vehicle, right? And so if you look at the decontenting, it shows that these truck makers are focusing more on fleet customers. But the thing that I want to jump in and say is they're not decreasing the prices on these trucks. So what they're doing is they're keeping the prices higher, but then they're reducing options. So they're lowering their cost basis into these trucks, which means that they're just trying to squeeze as much cash out of these fleet customers as they possibly can. At least that's what it looks like on the surface. But regardless, as we've seen over the course of most of this year, fleet sales are carrying the car market, and it looks like this is not going to stop anytime soon. So I want you guys to let me know what you think about this whole fleet situation, and do you think that this is why we're seeing the decontenting of cars, because these automakers are just trying to make as much money as they can out of this fleet situation before it ends? I'll see ya.